So in these conversations, I said, look, I don't think we've got chemistry. I don't think we're gelling right. I'm having difficulty communicating with you and all that. Oh, I'm just nervous and shy and this and that. Once we get married, we'll be all right. So everyone's sort of...
which is fair, to be honest. For the sisters, they can't really be direct and, start issuing compliments left and right.
He goes, I said, brother, like, why are you talking? Like, you represent Islam. His words were, I don't represent Islam. I just follow Islam. I said, bro, you're on TV. Like, you represent Islam.
You're an ambassador.
You're an ambassador. Like, you know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to say to him. No. He goes, I don't represent Islam, bro. I don't represent anything. I don't represent Islam. I only follow Islam. Anyway, you got a problem? Meet me in Barking Tesco 20 minutes like that. And I thought, it's 1 o'clock. I'm about to go Jummah. You want to meet Barking's where I think their headquarters are in London, yeah? So there's a Tesco up there, so I presume he's saying, meet me in Barking Tesco. Proper road, man. You just got ghetto. And I thought, it can't be like, the shock and also, the community.
The fake religiosity that I keep saying, right?
Yeah, but I didn't see it, bro. I was clearly a simp, bro. I was clearly a dupe, bro. I was a simp.
Certain celebrity speakers enforce positions that conform to the secular, liberal, standardized sort of society or environment we live in, and trying to obviously give power to these sisters for whatever reason. It could be simping, it could be that the pressures of trying to fit into the Western society, and obviously the liberalism that we find now, which is a very aggressive liberalism. Do you feel that there's some issues with their approach?
Maybe you think you're doing good, but the damage and the carnage that is left, bro, we're destroying the next generation. Because from the people I've spoken to, over 50% of Muslim marriages are ending up in divorce. If 50% of Muslim marriages are ending up in divorce, how many broken homes have we got? Yeah. Maybe you think you're doing good, but the damage and the carnage that is left, bro, we're destroying the next generation. Because from the people I've spoken to, over 50% of Muslim marriages are ending up in divorce. If 50% of Muslim marriages are ending up in divorce, how many broken homes have we got? The problem is, she's saying, I pay 50 on top of all the bills, mortgage, food, everything. He's pushing near enough. He goes 4.5, 5 grand a month his expense. That's what he's living. I'm saying, how? Like, how is it so expensive? He's saying about 1,500 quid to 2 grand a month. He has to pay for childcare so she can go to work, earn that money shipped out to her mum and dad's account, like building her own. So this is what I'm saying. Their marriage is seen as a business.
Ultimately, these popular speakers are not untouchable. Let's just put it out there. They're not untouchable. This podcast can potentially bring so much people together for the sake of bringing the fathers, solace and their children back to them. There might be brothers that are not willing to come forward, but this podcast might bring them forward.
Absolutely.
So if we can alleviate some sort of pressures, support, alleviate some pressure, I'm sure that this would obviously go a long way. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين ما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Surface. I always say Beyond the Podcast, and my brothers behind are watching. They're always correcting me when I say that. But alhamdulillah, we have about a good few videos on the playlist now, and walillah alhamd, it's getting positive feedback. Obviously, I'm learning, so if anything you don't like, my style of questioning, even interrupting, you've got every right to put it in the comments, and I will review it, and I'll make amends, inshallah. If not, just keep writing. But today we have a brother of ours, walillah alhamd wa minna, brother Farouk, and I think this particular issue has been brewing for a very long time, but it hasn't been given the attention, and we're going to get into the reasons why, the conditioning, the programming. And unfortunately, it's not popular. People value their subscribers, value their views, and ultimately they would overlook certain persecution, certain oppression. And this is why we're here. We're here to speak the truth, mahma kan, whoever it's against. And as the famous saying goes, if you see something and you're unable to change it with your hand, then change it with your tongue. And this is what we're doing here today as per the prophetic instruction. So today, my brother Farouk, disqualified dads, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam, brother.
How you doing?
Alhamdulillah, I'm good. I'm grateful. Can't complain.
Allah barik. Now, your story has touched me, and as the podcast develops, we'll get into the story, and not just you, brother, the brothers that are suffering in silence. Mm-hmm. And there are contributing factors. We'll break them and dissect them as the podcast continues. But it's always the case on Beyond the Surface. We want to get to know you. We want the viewers to get to know you. And Indila Kareem will obviously open this up and start engaging and dealing with the pertinent issues that we're here to open up. So bismillah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Yeah, firstly, look, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Appreciate the time. And I hope, inshallah, I can do my children justice. I can do all the children that have been alienated, separated from their fathers justice, and all the fathers that unfortunately haven't made it through this journey, and all the ones that are going through it now and struggling. I just hope, inshallah, that I can do all of them justice, because that's what it's all about. That's why I'm here ultimately. But yeah, where do you want me to start?
So first of all, your background, upbringing, born and raised in the UK, London.
Right, yeah. Well, no, I was telling the brothers earlier, I was originally born in Preston. I am a northerner.
You're a northerner?
Yeah, I was in Lancashire, born in Lancashire, Preston, small town, small Gujarati area, Gujarati town.
Okay.
And when I was about 10, we moved to London, hence lost the accent and whatnot. But again, grown up in that time, in the 80s, tight community, you had your mosque, very simple upbringing in the sense that you went to school, went mosque, you got your beats. I don't know how, don't do it now, but back in the day, you got your beats, learned your alphabet there.
That's a DNA, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Parrot fashion, you can pray the Quran, that was good enough, move along, that's it, so yeah, grew up there and then moved to London around 10, went through high school and stuff in London and been in London ever since.
Okay. So, been brought up and raised in London, in the 80s, early 80s or late 80s?
Yeah, no, so it was the 80s up north, and then the 90s onwards.
What year were you born?
81, yeah.
81.
I know I don't look it.
No, mashallah, you look
I don't look it. It's hard to believe, I know, but yes, I am.
I'm 85, so you've got a few years on us. So that experience living in London, growing up in the sort of late 80s, early 90s, how was that?
Listen, coming from up north, so when you've come from, say, Preston, Gujarati community, I'm not being funny, bro, there was 1 or 2, 3 white people in my school. There was one black guy. I predominantly only saw Gujaratis, Asian people. We spoke Gujarati in school. So when you get pulled out of that northern community, planted into London, East London, I've never seen so many white people, black people, other cultures, communities. It was scary, man. I've got to be honest. It was struggle to settle in. I did personally.
Wow. In Birmingham, we have that. We have inner areas. Predominantly, you have Pakistani, Bengalis, Pathans and whatnot, but we do have obviously a certain amount of white, Caucasian, black community. So we're not that behind when it comes to integration, but that's another discussion. I think we'll open that up as well. Now, Akhil Aziz, when we look at Muslims living in the West, and this is important to highlight as well, and it's a disclaimer to a certain extent. Do you believe that we have a certain amount of pressures, to integrate, to assimilate, and at the same time, there's this conditioning and programming that we're unaware of, and at the same time, that colonial master that we have to appease, and that sort of transcends into watering down the religion and liberalizing the religion at the same time?
See, I could talk about this intimately because obviously moving to London, and then what I did, because I'm an electrician, as you know, I'm an electrician. I did an apprenticeship in sort of maintenance, building sector maintenance, and that is predominantly majority of people I work with were old school, white, English, and it's like I'd probably be the only Asian guy they knew.
Okay.
And the Muslim guy, and they couldn't differentiate between the basics. So the amount of information that's available now wasn't available then.
Makes sense.
So when I got into this environment, you got to remember, I'm sort of the odd one out. Like when you're fasting, they're like, why'd you fast? What's that? Now everyone knows, Muslims, they're fasting from Ramadan. So I was like in my teens, started apprenticeship at 17, 16, and I was in this environment. Okay. And for many years, initially I was like, we're Muslims, we're meant to pray 5 times a day, this, that. What'd you do that for? Why do you do it? Do you believe in all of this? So don't get me wrong, I went through many years where I had my own identity crisis. Okay. So you don't fit in there, and then they talk about, what'd you do Friday night? Did you go out clubbing with your boys, or did you have a few drinks, few beers, and this and that? I'm like, I don't drink. Why don't you drink? Like, what's wrong with you? So for many years, I went through an identity crisis of my own, and that integration, assimilation, that element, I've lived it, man. I had sort of slight imposter syndrome at times, and at times I just think, why can't I really fit in with them? So I get them, I get their jokes, they got a good sense of humor, but you're not them, you're not like them, you're not really part of them. I understand the culture, the building culture, the jokes, and the sort of the humor they have, but it was an element of you never quite fully fitted in, and that's how I felt, that's how I was. And then eventually, as I grew older and matured, I just then had to embrace who I was.
Alhamdulillah.
And, I was touching. There was moments where it was touch and go. I did feel, you don't feel comfortable in your own skin. Do you know what I mean? So, it's difficult.
The pressures are there.
The pressures are there, yeah, definitely.
And I used to play cricket at a good level, when I mean good level, club level, Premier League and Division 1. And the area is Sutton Coldfield, and I started playing cricket when I was 16, 17. Obviously, Pakistan and India playing today, and again, hammered, but that's a different story. And it came to a point, because I'm from inner Birmingham, and when I used to travel to Sutton Coldfield, obviously, my father used to take me sometimes, and I used to catch the train. And then it came to the point that I was the odd one out, and I was talking like they come from an affluent area, and I did feel that, okay, I don't really fit in here. But at the same time, we have something valuable. We have, such a beautiful religion that we want to obviously propagate it. And at the same time, I was practicing then as I was 16, 17, my beard was growing. They called me ludicrous because I had little patches coming out. And then they used to naturally be curious, like you were saying, like in your building environment, I had the cricketing environment. And they said, like, why don't you shave your beard? And I said, look, I can't. There's certain celebrities that you look up to and you want to imitate them. And, the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is someone I cherish and I adore. And he's my role model. And that was the line of questioning that I used to get from my fellow cricket team members. So naturally now we're obviously we're not too far apart in age. We're at the same generation. God, you're 45,
Yeah, I thought
46.
you were a lot younger, to be fair.
Did you?
I thought I had at least 10 years on you, but I don't feel too bad now.
I'm 40 in a couple of months. But now that we're now moving on, so obviously moving on different decades now. So we're into the 2000s, probably in the 2010s. And now the pressures of marriage, naturally sinks in, doesn't it?
Yes.
And when you go through secondary school, then you start to observe, that sort of side of life that you realize, okay, I'm attracted to a certain group of women, depending on what you favor. So we want to, as Muslims, avoid any, illicit relationships as best as we can. Not to say that obviously I've been the best role model for my community, but nevertheless, when you were growing up, I assume there was a pressure from the parents to get married.
See, when you say there was a pressure from the parents, I generally felt, again, we were conditioned by the community. So if you look at the era we grew up in the 80s, there was a lot of Bollywood around. The old school Bollywood films are all classic. Boy meets girl, families hate each other, they run away, get married, live happily ever after. We had that drummed in.
Or a woman's getting harassed. He comes in and saves the day.
Saves the day. Yes, knight in shining armor. Amitabh Bachchan comes in, saves the day. The old classic. So my point is, this is our upbringing. Yeah, sure. That forms part of our conditioning, and not just our conditioning. That is our culture. That's where we come from. We come from a community and culture where marriage was revered. Women, used to revere marriage, and we do come from that culture, which effectively that's what's allowed us to build the communities we have here. It's the family unit. So we got to remember that it's the family unit that has given us the success that we've had 100%. In these lands, So we come from that community culture, and we subconsciously revere marriage as well. You got to remember that. So we're conditioned to it. We've got that community pressure, the family pressure, and our parents are from a generation where, you had your kids, you sent them through school, they got the education degree, got a job, and their final job was to get you married. That's them retired. That's how they operate. That is their conditioning. Right. And a lot of people I know, when I look back now, the only answer that parents had was to any issue was, if a son say he's not a good role model, he's doing some bad things, it was like, well, let's get him married, he'll sort himself out. If a girl's not on a righteous path, she's not doing good, she's not doing whatever it is she's meant to be doing. Yeah. The only solution was, let's get her married, she'll fix up. But that was the only answer they had. So they didn't have any other answers. They didn't have, and the information that's available now wasn't available then, the knowledge that we have now. True. So that was their position. And then what dictates where you get married? Social status, position, financial status, stuff like this, Now, my parents, look, my dad, he's had his ups and downs in business and life and whatnot. He's not financially well off. We lived in a council house. We struggled.
No shame in that.
No shame in that. That's right. But my point is, people said that in the community. Yeah, there's no shame in that. Everyone's at different levels.
Only when it comes to marriage.
When it comes to marriage, suddenly, when it comes to getting married, what? Council house, bro.
Our daughters can't go there.
Yeah. They're like, so what do you think of that guy? Yeah, bro, council house. You know what I mean? Like, it all comes out, Then the other situation I faced was, they're like, okay, what does he do? Oh, he's an electrician. Now, maybe this day and age.
Stand out, bro.
Yeah, but look, people might respect that now, but back then, like, electrician.
You sure?
Bro, they don't respect that.
That's a skill.
oh, that's a skill, but the way
Wow.
the responses we
That's
were getting, the
interesting,
response
though.
I was getting was, oh, we're looking for someone with a degree. I'm not being funny, right? And because of the whole council house issue, these rumors going around and whatnot, dad's not financially well off, and all of this family ain't got status, and all these other social issues, right? Your selection pot has been reduced.
That's right.
So at one point we met a guy. Now I don't even want to use these words, but he knew all the rejects of society, right? That were us stuck for like bad. I know, yeah. So he knew all these sisters, right? All these women, right, who was effectively rejects. That's how someone.
Okay, I don't want to ask you
it's
what you
wrong.
mean by that, but let's
Listen,
go into it.
I don't agree with it. I don't judge. Just like I'm being judged about it. I didn't judge them.
Is that okay? Can I interject
go
just
on.
quickly? So
Yes.
when we say rejects, right, just for disclosure purposes or disclaimer purposes, rejects again in different societies and different cultures means different things.
Yeah, it's just okay. Let me put it another way. Let me,
Is it that they're not what's it
people
called?
didn't want to marry them.
Castal,
No,
caste system.
no, it wasn't even that.
Not even
It was just for some reason people didn't want to marry into those
not pretty.
families. So, for example, like me, you could argue we were like the council house family. Oh yeah, we don't really want to go there. They're from a council house. They ain't got money. He's not qualified. They ain't got a degree. So you could argue that I was a reject in that sense. So I'm not going to judge these other so-called rejects, right? Yeah. And I thought that's wrong. And my point is, if I call them rejects or judge them the same way, I'm part of the problem, innit?
You're part of the problem.
So I thought, stuck for like genuinely look into your heart. You don't treat people like that. You don't think about people like that because this is part of the problem. So what happens is, started going to see these, these sisters, so-called. Bro, I was getting rejected by the rejects. The rejects were looking down at me, thinking, "What's going on here?" So my point
I'm
is,
struggling now.
yeah, mate, times are hard, man. Talking about drought, bro. Times are hard.
So your pool was getting reduced.
Yeah, so this is, again, you got to remember, this stuff is still conditioning your brain. What do I do? Now, I'm not being funny.
No, on a serious note, that is problematic within our culture, especially from the Asian demographic, that
This judgmental
social
element,
status
yes.
plays a huge part. For example, you could find a brother, tabarakallah adim, very devout, very religious, good manners, good akhlaq, is holding onto a steady job,
Yes,
earning,
yes,
but like you said, hasn't got a degree, doesn't earn, the figures that they want,
yes.
doesn't own his own house, and then naturally you're part of suitability.
Not just that, bro. See, you're talking about, I remember a time, right, back then, right, when even if a brother was practicing, they looked at him and said, well, if he was into, say, Islam in the sense that he's an imam or a mufti or something like this, they think, well, them guys don't really make much money back then. This is pre-social media, you got to remember.
That's true.
Them guys don't have much of it. Bro, even they got rejected on the practicing element didn't even come into it, or he's a bit too practicing. So, bro, that was a negative sort of, so I've even seen this year, unless, again, suddenly the practicing element is elevated. If he's from a family with status, then it's mashallah, look how practicing. So my point is, what's the word I'm looking for? The judgmental element from the community we cannot ignore. We're from a judgmental community, bro. And
the subcontinent is judgmental.
Yeah, you know how it is.
It's very apparent as well.
Yes.
Very apparent. And we look to appease.
Yes, and then the whole, and look, our parents are conditioned to a certain degree. They're worried about what will people say about certain things. So they're managing their own conditioning and their own programming of how they've grown up and what they perceive society to be. So look, I'm trying to decipher all of these issues.
That's right.
At the same time, look, I wasn't the, like you said, best of example. I had relationships and stuff like that. Stuff for I'm not proud of it. It's not a boast. I'm not boasting about none of these things. All a waste of time. Shouldn't go into any of it. It's haram. It's wrong. Yeah. So I wasn't the best of role models as well. So I managed to, and obviously I had my sort of drive was to build myself up financially because I wanted more for my life. So I thought I need to work, banging in the OT, doing my jobs, this and that, whatnot, trying to make money. Yeah. So I put marriage back for a long time. I pushed it back for a long time. Okay. So I got married, as you know, around 30s, early 30s, which is pretty late.
For the generation, you're a bit older than me, but it is. The parents really push it when you're like in your early 20s, if not mid 20s. But when you go over the 25 mark, that's like
classed as late.
What's wrong with him?
Yeah, that's the other problem. So now you've gone from one disaster to another. And now, right, guy's trying to build himself up. Well, what's wrong with him? Like, why can't you get married? And the problem was with the lack of sort of selection, then the uncertainty, and then the problem is when you don't know yourself, truly who you are, what you want, what you like, what you don't like, because you keep getting told, we are conditioned as well to not think of ourselves. we are conditioned to think of the family unit or parents or this or that, and then like
bringing honor to the family.
Yeah, classic. Everyone uses the Islamic hadith that suits, and parents are like, Islamically, gender set your mother's feet. They keep reminding you of these things. Like, I'm getting married. What's that got to do with it? Like, so you keep getting conditioned into these things, and everyone sort of pulls you from different angles. And this one, if you don't know yourself, you don't know who you are truly, and your strength of character is not there. You are then influenced by other thoughts and ideas and paradigms. And people say, bro, you're late. It doesn't matter. Just get married. They're all the same, this and that. So long story short, with all of these issues going on, someone introduced me to this sister and said, look, what do you reckon? I thought, you know what? Bismillah, it's not a bad family. Down to a family, hardworking, grafted, built their way up. They're on the deen, brothers really like ultra practicing by appearance. And look, I'm not even saying he's pretentious. He genuinely, I think, tries to live by it and whatnot. So I thought, if the family's like this, even if they say she's not 100%, no one's 100%, but I saw a few issues with the communication that she operated. But I thought, look, 30 community, this pressure everywhere I turn, everyone's like, what's wrong with you? Get married. What's wrong with you? Get married. All the issues with the rejections and everything going on. I thought, you know what? Maybe this is it. Bismillah.
Okay,
let's go with it. Yeah. And I thought, and sort of the other thing is her father. So my ex's father at the time, like, if you have any issues, we're here to support you. Really loving and nice. And me being naive, right? Muggins here. What a lovely family. MashaAllah. With a family like that, what can go wrong with such lovely people? I'm falling for all of it, innit? It's just the whole scam. And when you've not been in with these interactions, my parents, again, very timid, sort of, they're not brash in your face, loud. They're people pleasers, like, to a certain degree. They'll nod along. Let's not upset them. And
they see the best in people.
No, they see the best in people. My dad, look, bless him, he's a people pleaser, but he's like, this guy, he says, and this is what he said, this guy, you treat him like you're more, I gave my father-in-law more respect than my own father. He said, he has the position of your dad. You treat them like mum and dad. So in my mind, my dad's got his flaws, but he keeps giving these good messages. It's a positive message. And I thought they're elders, and we are from a generation where you saw elders, there was that respect. Always. And I saw them as mum and dad. But they saw that, innit? This guy's a bit naive, he's a bit soft, he's all right, we've got him. You've got him 100%. Yeah, played the game. Everyone nods along. Before you know it, it's all happening. You're married, and you think, right, how did I end up here? Literally, that's how it was, right? Yeah. Tried to address these issues with her, but again, this before marriage, because someone will say, okay, if you saw these issues, why didn't you highlight it? So in these conversations, I said, look, I don't think we've got chemistry. I don't think we're gelling right. I'm having difficulty communicating with you and all that. Oh, I'm just nervous and shy and this and that. Once we get married, we'll be all right. So everyone's sort of...
which is fair, to be honest. For the sisters, they can't really be direct and, start issuing compliments left and right.
No, but okay, let me put it this way, yeah? When you talk... If this is
we give it, but we don't really reciprocate. We don't get the...
No, but understand chemistry. And this is what I want the youngsters or the people that are not married to understand. Yeah, I want the youngsters to understand what chemistry is. So the first, when people have all these checklists, this and that, none of it works. If you got, like me and you having this conversation, this is now natural back and forth, yeah? If this conversation was forced, the camera would see it, you would see it, you'd feel it, it's awkward. Any time in life when you have a conversation like that with someone where you don't gel, there's no chemistry, it's a forced conversation where you're thinking, okay, right, what do I say now? Like you walk away, you don't communicate any longer.
The atmosphere is very dry.
It's very dry and it's very awkward, yeah? So I was feeling that, but I tried to highlight it. So because of that element of, look, nervous, shy, I've never been with anyone, I don't know.
More reserved.
Yeah, all of that.
Like in the wedding.
Yeah, and I thought, okay, look, put it down to the fact that it's not her, it's me. You need time. You need time to get to know someone. No problem. Bismillah, yeah, Plus, with a lovely family like that, what can go wrong?
Nothing can go wrong.
Got the support of the in-laws, mate. Lovely.
You can't go wrong.
Yeah.
So then you got married, alhamdulillah.
Yes.
And getting into the issues that you experienced and what transpired, which ultimately, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save all our brothers and sisters from any marriages that are problematic, but you always need to seek arbitration. I always say this because it's a very touchy subject, isn't it? And we'll get into the religious figures in a second, but always seek consultation of your elders. Yes, they're stuck in their ways. Yes, they may be crowd pleasers, but they mean wow, and they want the best for you.
Yes. Okay, so just let me clarify something. When you say elders, what do you mean by elders?
I mean those who, one, have a standing within the community. And I don't mean community generally. I mean within your own family and whatnot. And they are practicing. I believe that they have to have some element of taqwa.
Yes.
They have to be God-fearing because one can be an elder, but he he has no sense of fairness, no sense of adl.
Yeah, so he has to have wisdom, I would say.
Of course,
That's the key.
hikmah as
It has
well.
to
So
be- yeah.
yeah, everything is comprehensive, isn't it?
Yes.
So there's a hadith that says al baraka ma'akabirikum, like that that blessings are with your elders. But the blessings that what I tend to sort of what I put in front of my eyes is that if they're not the most practicing,
Yes.
but they have justice.
Yes, that's the key. So what I'll say is, well, if you're going through this situation, yes, seek advice, arbitration from elders, but both parties need to find sensible people, not direct, not immediate brothers, sisters, mum and dad. I'm talking outside the direct family, people who are distant but sensible, who can speak from a balanced perspective for both parties. Because I think when emotions get involved, everyone just pulls for their person or their side, their relative. It's a disaster. They just add more to the problem.
Like that phrase is, they got a dog in this fight.
Yes, absolutely.
So, alhamdulillah, we have a religion that gives us the tools on how to deal with situations that are not in accordance to, general, sense of civilized relationships. What I mean by civilized, I mean brothers and sisters are not just seeing eye to eye. Yes. So there's a bit of heated tensions. Potentially one's not fulfilling their rights. Potentially the other's not fulfilling their rights. And then we have the concept of either khulla, fasakh, and talaq. And we'll get to that later.
Yes.
So when you realize, look, it's not working out, you tried, and I'm sure you did. Again, there's two sides to every story. So I'm not going to take your word just by itself. Absolutely. So I'm sure the sister has her gripes. And at the end of the day, maybe there are flaws and whatnot. But without going into the intricacies of who's to blame and whatnot, when did you feel that it's not working? And because obviously talaq's in the man's hand.
Yes.
What did you do? What did you
I'll tell you, try and condense it into the point where I issued talaq. I'll get to that point, right? So 10 years, look, so 10 years is not a joke, yeah, a decade. If I'm 40 now, that's 1/4 of my life I've dedicated to it, yeah? I've got 3 children that are now 11, 8, and the youngest one due to be 6. Last time I saw them, they were 3, 5, 7 or 8. So it's been nearly over 3 years, yeah? So look, I dedicated 10 years to this, yeah? I gave it everything. And just to highlight the point you highlighted in marriage, there's 3 types of marriage breakups. There's a couple that were happy, they had chemistry, they are genuinely happy for many years, and then they fall out of love, or the chemistry's gone, they start resenting each other, and then they decide to end it. There are those that are okay, they make it happen, they're making it work, and one party or other party has done something to then trigger that, resentment. And there's a third type of relationship where you don't have chemistry. If you don't have chemistry, so arbitration, counseling, none of these things can work if you don't have the base foundation of chemistry. If you don't have the ability to have that conversation, like we said, if a conversation awkward, yeah, there is no relation. There's no friendship after that. The problem is there's a lot of brothers that in these marriages that they can't communicate with their wives. And I say this specifically for one reason, because it has now turned out, and what has been discovered through research and studying and speaking to many brothers, is this personality disorder element where the missus has come into the family home, into the marriage, with the trauma that she saw her mum go through generationally because of how things used to be back in the day. And in order not to be this sort of victim or this woman that's being bullied around the house, this preperception, they're always involved, they're always engaging in conversation from a defensive perspective. Now, when you're talking to someone and they're constantly defensive, right, it's very difficult to get along with that person. It's very difficult to have a conversation. And this issue is what I'm trying to highlight to people out there, that it's not as black and white, and things happen, people move apart. But I'm saying if you've come in with a combative position, so every answer is defensive, every answer, like for example, there's sisters now that openly in the marriage say, right, listen, you need to pay for that because Islamically this is your right, so you have to pay for it. It's not. Now, my point is, when you say that to someone, right, yeah, you've now created this awkwardness. You cannot openly go and love a woman who's telling you, you need to pay for this because that's your job. There's a manner and a way of doing things. But if you're in a relationship with someone, that conversation shouldn't even be up. If you genuinely care about someone, you're in a marriage, you're in it together, you're both in it together, yeah? Yeah. You wouldn't even have to say something like, you wouldn't say that in a relationship. But when you're coming in with this combative position, a guy feels he's constantly battling uphill. You have to just hold the party line, keep your head down, because you try and avoid an argument or avoid this defensive behavior. Yeah. And then what happens is this defensive behavior, once you start having children, it is now transferred onto the kids.
That's right.
And this is what led up to why I, in the end, called it, right? So I've got 3 children. Now, my parents live 10 minutes up the road, 10-minute drive up the road. There's been periods where 3 months my parents don't see my kids. If I'm not around, there's no one to take them. So you take them? Yeah, they've been there, they've seen them. Okay, speak to the kids. Oh, we've never been there. We haven't been there in 3 months. That control element. Anytime I wanted to take the kids out, and it's the small, subtle things which I noticed over a period of time. You understand? It's not like immediately. So when the kids were small, built up. So when the kids were small, I said, look, I'm popping out to my mum's. Let me just take the little one quickly. Mum and dad can see her quickly, right? Oh, just about to do a dinner time. You think, oh, okay, leave it. Next time is shower time. Then it was bedtime, bath time, story time. I mean, I said, listen, how long, if after 6 months you start noticing the pattern, you think like, what's going on it? Every time I want to take them or do something, there's an issue. Then when I did take them, as they started coming of age, we eventually put my foot down, you take them. Plays along for 2 or 3 weeks. I said, look, take them. It's not for me. It's not for you. You can hate my parents. It's fine. It's fine. No one cares. It's all good. They don't need nothing from you. You don't need nothing from them. But don't deny these children their birthrights. Don't deny them love and affection.
From the grandparents.
When she goes around with the kids there, kids are like they're sitting at strangers for half an hour. They don't play. They don't do anything because it's like going to a stranger's house. Now you can understand. My 8-year-old was doing that till the last time she went to my parents. It takes half an hour to just open up, start playing with the what do you call her cousins, brothers and sisters, and start being part of the family because she's like a stranger there. This doesn't happen overnight. And then I realized these kids effectively, they're not my kids. They ain't my kids. I'm just living hostage, Stockholm syndrome. I'm living as a hostage, Stockholm syndrome. I feel sorry for my captor because I think, well, I can't divorce her. For years, I can't do that. What's the mum and dad? I looked at mum and dad and I felt bad. Even though when I used to go there, they used to have digs at me. Mum gives her, mother-in-law brings out the samosas, giving you all this love and affection. As you're about to eat, father-in-law has a little dig about this. It's a constant mechanism where, like, you're trying to be just down to earth and open and nice and loving, thinking this is family, but you're constantly getting jabs and digs from her and the family. And to be fair to them, it's because with this personality disorder, she goes back and the picture that's been painted of me is I'm a monster.
You're an oppressor.
Now, yes, and my point is, then it turns out it's not just there. How the control aspect worked is a picture of you has been painted everywhere as some sort of monster and they're the victim. So if things ever go wrong, you have no chance. You were a perpetrator and a monster. At one time, my own family was convinced of this.
Guilty until proven.
So what happens is the person in the relationship, they get isolated. So when you see these guys that have been married 20 years, 30 years, they're silent, they're quiet, they nod along, they never say anything. Mum's ruling the house. They're just a shell of who they are. They're beaten. I can see how they got like this. I can see how it happens. But long story short, with the kids, this was happening with the children now. I realized that I don't even play a crucial role with my kids. My daughter highlighted to me, Mum's a bit funny. Mum's got all these funny rules. I was like, yeah, I know. Now I'm in a situation, I can't tell the old woman, look, you need to stop doing this to the kids. They've told me, because then when I'm not there, you don't know what she's telling them or how she's scaring them. So I'm worried about the kids. And I started noticing when I'm doing something with the kids at home, kids, you want to do this? Excited, happy. Then they sort of look up. If the ex was in the room, they give one look and their demeanor changes, head down. And I started noticing this. And I thought, I got to do something for my kids. So I'm in a no-win situation.
So could I ask, sorry to interject?
Yeah, go on.
So do you believe that this has built up so much that your kids were fearing your ex?
100%, yes.
And I'm not going to go into obviously physical trauma or whatnot, but was this due to like taking away certain hobbies?
Psychological. So look, a woman will connect with a woman and a female. So 2 daughters, right? Yeah. Little one was too small. He's a boy. They're more boisterous. They don't.
Yeah.
With the girls, they connect on that girly level.
Of course. Intuition.
Control. So this is called what is known as pre-alienation. So one parent is being alienated whilst he's there. And then, like I said, when you go to that parent's extended family's house, they're controlled. They have a bedtime. We have to go. We don't do this. We don't have these sweets. But then when I noticed this, when we went to her mum and dad's house, kids are jumping and playing all hours of the morning. Oh, yeah, they're sleeping over at my brother's house with their cousins there, all good. If I took my son or my daughters, my kids round to my brother's house, which is a 2-minute walk from my house at the time, yeah, I used to go there. Now, imagine we went round, yeah, sitting there with my brother, I'm going mosque to pray Zohar. I'm like, okay. I'm like, he's going to look at me and like, I can't say, well, you go, I'm not praying. So I'm like, yeah, which mosque, which is 2 minutes walk up the road.
Okay.
So go to mosque, come back. When I go home, oh, why did you leave the kids alone there? But why not? Like, it's so, I can't explain the element of control. It's so frustrating. You're like, well, I went there. No, but you shouldn't have left the kids there. Why? What are you trying to say? What's going to happen to them? They're playing with their cousins right there. What's going to happen? But it's that control. And this is an issue. So, okay, I'm not allowed to take them to my brother's house. They're already alienated from the family that lives around them. They don't have that. And I want them to have that bond with their cousins and brothers and extended family. They've got 18 cousin brothers and sisters, a good solid clan. And this is what builds their character, yeah? So I'm trying to expose them to all this family that they've got.
This love that they've got on the other side.
Love and everything they've got. But again, it's that element of control. You control the kids, you control the other partner. But on the surface, right, you think she's a submissive, quiet wife, lovely, she'll bake cakes and cookies. I had no chance. I was going to the gym, doing martial arts, this, that, doing overtime.
The devout,
no one would
obedient wife.
Yes.
On the surface.
Yes.
And this is beyond the surface, which is why
and
you're
maybe,
here.
look, I say maybe some of that is even genuine, but in the relationship, the tactics used this is a specific strategy and tactic used. And I've now done the studies, I've done the research. So you isolate and control the partner. If you isolate the man from his family, then you got full control of the relationship. Then you make all the decisions regarding the kids and how they grow up and this and that. My eldest daughter at one point said, like, put a scarf on, said, I want to wear a scarf because my school friend Aisha or so-and-so, she wears a scarf. Why can't I wear one? I said, if you want to wear one, you can wear one to school. Again now, her family was practicing, but she didn't wear a scarf or hijab, nothing like that. But you stopped my daughter from wearing it. I said, look, she's just a kid. She wants to try it. Give her a go. You encourage it. You start encouraging these things. No, because that's not her thing.
Never prevent the children to do something they want to do. Because what will happen is you're just going to make them rebellious. Over time, it's going to have an effect on their psychological well-being. Now, obviously, and just sort of fast forwarding now, because there's pertinent issues that I want to discuss with you regarding how brothers are being treated post-divorce, and how the odds are stacked against them, and the lack of support that they have. Yes. So you obviously completed the divorce.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So you were saying.
Yes. I'll tell you what happened. So right, okay. Now I completed the divorce. I came on one morning. I just snapped and I just said, "Talaq," 3 times. And I'm not even saying it in a boastful way or some big man. I was scared. I was shaking from an era where that was never there. That option was never there. I didn't believe in it. Once you were in, you were in. I would have soldiered till the end. But for my kids, I had to do something. Stupidly thinking that whatever happens, we are in England, bro. They conquered 3/4 of the world. They have judges and courtrooms and law and order and processes. We're not in India, Pakistan. We don't have to worry about these things. We got a system here, bro. We got procedure, processes.
Not that simple.
I got my rights. I'm a father. You know what I mean? So what happens?
So you thought?
Yeah, so I thought anyway, bloody hell, right? So what happened was I issued a talaq thinking, right, that's it. March 16th, 2022, leave the house thinking, right, what do I do? So I go tell my mum and dad. They're panicked. They don't really know what to do. They're not experienced with these things. Who is like, they don't, until it happens.
They don't expect it, do they?
They don't know what to do, what's going on. It's all up and down. That evening, I'm thinking, right, what shall I do now? So I go home. No one's there. I thought, no problem. I was with the little one, so I had the little one with me. Told my mum and dad to come round. Said, look, she might come round with mum and dad. Let's just sort out what we need to sort out, sort of thing. Next thing I know, knock on the door, police turn up. Police van, 2 cars, this and that. So, can we speak to him, Mr. Ishmael? Yeah, okay. Go into the kitchen, they take my little son off me. That's the last time I see him. They peel him off me. He's crying and screaming. They take him away. And police start reading the rights. Coercive control. These are the magic words. Remember this, yeah?
Okay,
these are the buzzwords that you need to remember that are used. Coercive control, financial abuse, and for some reason, I've seen the pattern in a lot of cases, the throttling card. He tried to strangle me or throttle me, so it's threat to life. The word is coercive control, financial abuse, and threat to life.
And you never done that?
No, hell no, I didn't do none of that.
I just have to make sure, bro.
No, look, I didn't do any of that. There was an altercation, but there was none of that. There was an altercation where I had to defend myself, yeah. But my point is, it's the way things are done and presented. So that's how it was done, right? And obviously, if I tried to throttle someone, that's attempted, murder and whatnot. So I'd be locked up potentially.
Yeah, you won't be here.
Yeah, like I said, I want to be NFA'd. I want to be NFA'd here. Let me put it that way. So they take me away, and I'm thinking like, nah, like, for real. And then the classic one in the Muslim world, what happens is the classic one. He forced me to wear a hijab. He's forcing me to wear a scarf because of his Islamic religious views and his cultural views. They treat women badly. And in a lot of cases in the Asian community, what happens in court is they come out with this other allegation. They're forcing me to go to his mum and dad's house and cook and clean and
Is that
wash
what they
dishes.
use in court?
Yeah, listen, you know all the stereotypical sort of...
What the Daily Mail and the Sun use.
Yeah, and you know, they all like daughter-in-laws, oh yeah, you know, don't in-laws will treat you as slaves and all of this, that sort of mantra. They've got all of that, they throw all of that in
the paperwork.
It is so mad, right? You're thinking like, nah. So anyway,
It's a dream. It's not happening.
Mate, I get dragged away, right? Police station, the old fingerprints, all of this, you know, big officer looking at you. And I was sort of thinking that, I don't know if they were thinking this or not, but you know, you're standing there. He's seen another brown guy standing in front of him, you know, getting done for abuse. And you're sort of thinking that he might be thinking, these Muslims or these Pakistanis and these Asians, like, I'm thinking, is he thinking that? Do I come across like that? Is it that typical sort of stereotypical view?
Of course.
But then I think, I'd be all right. Then you get put in a cell. No phone, no gadgets, no nothing. So you're just there with your thoughts now, yeah? So you got to remember the shock and awe of the actual talaq, right? This happened in the morning, right, yeah? I'm uncertain about what the future holds. I'm uncertain about my kids. But again, naively thinking, well, someone's going to believe me. So I'm sitting there, you know, your heart's beating. Over near enough 24 hours, I was in the cell, yeah? And you're thinking. Then you think, towards the sort of the end, and before I was taken out of the cell, I sat there and I thought, hold on. You've got absolutely no chance. Who's going to believe you? I think I look at her behavior, her mannerisms, how she comes across. You know, people saying, oh, your wife's lovely, isn't she? And all of this stuff, yeah. And I'm thinking, mate, you got absolutely no chance. But came out, got a legal aid lawyer. They interviewed me, and I just explained in the interview, look, tried to answer all of their questions. No evidence. They couldn't really prove any of this. They NFA'd me and released me the next day. So after 24 hours, yeah. So I'm thinking now, I feel a bit of relief. So you're still in this state of shock. The fact that you've never contemplated in your whole life that you'd ever see talaq, because we were conditioned from, you know, once you were married, you were in, you know, the only way out is when you died, bro. That was it, yeah. That was from that era, that generation, yeah. So the shock of all of that, the shock of thinking, okay, kids, where am I going to live, house, you know, all of this stuff's going through your mind. But I've just got this little bit of relief that, okay, at least the police let me go, all right, or maybe someone will believe me now. It's all good. Yeah, I'm good. I can build my life again. You know what I mean? I can do something. Anyway,
of course.
Next thing you know, I go home that day, just grab my van keys, and I'll go to my night shift. Go to do my night shift. I need to stay out of the way just in case, like, I could get accused of something else, right? Yeah, best to stay out of the way, not risk it. But a week later, I'm hit with this. A week later, police get hold of me again, not being unfamiliar with the system, saying, look, she needs to come to the house to collect. She took the kids and left, right? Yeah. There you go. We need to collect a few bits and pieces, right? Yeah. I thought, okay, so you can be there if you want, but I thought, no, I'll stay out of the way, avoid any conflict, confrontation. And look, I'm not going to play the big one. I was scared. You're nervous. You're scared.
Actually, you will be when the police come to your house, right?
Yeah, you're anxious. You know where your kids are. You don't know what is. Your whole life's been turned upside down. You have no idea. So I don't go there. I stay away, right? Yeah. They said they're coming at 1 o'clock, and the police said to me specifically, I've got it on recording, made a police complaint and everything, that we will be there to make sure nothing gets, like, the house doesn't get stripped out, basically, yeah? Then she turns up in a car with a couple of these schoolmates. And these school mums, again, I knew them. I used to say hi to them. I used to call them sister, all of that. But as soon as this happens, you're just a no one, right? Yeah? Those school mums and their husband, they're all against you, sort of thing, right? You're sort of at the group now, straight away.
Public enemy number one.
Yeah, straight away, right? So she's there taking these bits out of the house. Another car pulls up, right? I'm watching on CCTV this, right? I think, what's going on, right? Another car pulls up. They start taking more stuff out. Then, right, to my shock, this van turns up, like a big Sprinter van turns up, and these brothers jump out the van. 2 of them have got an Iman Channel uniform. They've got the uniform on. They've got the fleeces on. It says the Iman Channel.
Why are they? Who are they?
Brother, I'll tell you who they were. I found out who they were. And, you know, there's brothers with beards, mashallah, real, like, you know, like guys that you looked at, and I think some of them, they look familiar. So one guy is, you can blur the name out if you need to afterwards, whatever. Yeah. One guy is called Yasin Patel. This is her cousin. Now, this cousin, I have never met in 10 years. I've never met him. I never knew she had this cousin called Yasin Patel. He's the founder or co-founder, or he works in Iman Channel on some capacity or other, yeah? But I've never met this brother. He's never been to my house, never had a cup of tea, nothing, right, yeah? He's there. Then they've got Joynal, his right-hand man that works there. He's there. They're all in jubbars and they're like fully kitted out, right? They're there. The thing is, what people don't realize, when you watch people going through your personals, they're going in the house, they're going, I'm looking at the guy, going into the shed, taking out washing machine, fridge and dryers, and they're carrying it out. Another young brother, he's an imam there. Now, I looked into this, right, yeah? There's a specific verse in the Quran that says you do not enter another man's house and take what is not yours. Yeah, without permission. So I just sort of thought, okay, these guys are on TV, they're on social media. That journal's on platform with Mufti Menk, you know, they're talking about Islam and positivity and all of these things. And I thought, my point was this: someone of that caliber, okay, so there's your cousin said, this is what happened, he's an abuser, we need to go collect all of this stuff. Surely someone of that caliber has, you know, has the intellect to ask the question, okay, we're not sure whose stuff is, we'll come and support you as our sister or whatever, but we won't enter this person's house, number one, regardless of what you tell us.
Yeah.
We won't take stuff out of this house because we don't know, because we sell Islam.
I think that's you being gullible, because the fake religiosity, and as I said, we'll get into certain, you know, popular speakers who are not only sort of giving these sisters ammunition and weaponizing them because of the whole, you know, his money is my money, and, you know, we are the sisters' rights, which they do, of course, but the balance is not there, isn't it?
100%.
And like you just said, whoever these brothers are, and again, once again, if they want to reach out, that's fine. You know, I got no problem with that. But like you said, they can't enter your house without your permission, legally, obviously, because it's legally your house still. And to take items, which once again, you've got possession of, have they verified the stories that obviously you are X, Y, and Z? You know, do you see what I mean? It's just gathering information. It's about ascertaining the facts, and that's what Islam encourages.
Ascertain the facts. That's the key word. So, okay, look, legally, you could say the police were there, they had permission to enter.
Shari'an, they don't. Shari'an, they don't.
Islamically, they did not. And Islamically, look, so the Islamic angle is they completely did not look into considering, bro, and said, I'll say it again, the people of that level, caliber, and status, social media, and you are making money by selling the Islamic. You're making money for Islam. This is your living, yeah? If you're selling Islam,
they monetize the deen.
You have some duty to live by it. Do you know what I'm saying? That's how I saw it anyway, right? Yeah. So, okay, they've done that. No problem, right? Yeah. I'm trying to wrap my head around this, thinking like, surely, like these brothers, like you know, because I used to watch some of these channels. You know, Ramzan,
you said you had video evidence as well, didn't you?
Yeah, so I've got video evidence. I've released a video of brothers getting in and out of the house, and I've put the ayat in that video to say, if you don't have permission from the owner of the house, Islamic, or the man of that house, that stuff is haram to you. You cannot take it, right? Yeah. So long story short, what happens is that was another shock to the system. When you feel when your house gets burgled, that feeling of when someone invades your personal space, it is so. What's the word I'm looking for? When someone invades your personal space, like I said, it is
it breaks
intrusive.
your soul.
Yeah, it's so intrusive inside, like the pit of your stomach, right? It's sickening, right? Yeah. So now I'm dealing with that shock, thinking, okay, what's happened here? So they took all his gear out, left, no problem. So I just said to myself, look, they've taken a few bits and pieces.
Did they have a court order to take all of these items?
No, the police were there to make sure nothing gets stolen. But then they're arguing that you should have now been there to make sure they don't take your stuff. But I said, but you said you were going to be there to do that. You said they're picking up a few personal belongings, not rock up with a van and a whole crew. And what was sad to me,
loot the house.
They loot the house, bro. The footage is there, and I've got pictures of how the house was left after as well. Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I was shocked at the time. But what was more hurtful, you know what hurt me most was this, right? Yeah, that every 90% of the people that were present doing this at my house, they were all with jubbahs on, all had beards and niqabs, and the women they had niqabs on as well. And that's what hurt me more. And I'm thinking, but these are my people, bro. Yeah. This is the community. You know, like, because I still had this perception of Muslims practicing. You gave them that, you know, like those that appeared practicing.
And that's that. You'll naturally seek support from the religious community, right?
Yes.
Because if they go by the, you know, the secular standards, then you're stacked against it. But you would have sought solace and at peace with, okay, I'll go to the local imam, I'll go to the local mosque, but then
no, well, that's it.
Let's just leave it as that.
As this events unfolded, bro, this persona, again, as I said, that I had all these years of community, Muslims,
practicing
elders,
brothers,
practicing people there. We are protected. Our families are protected. Our kids are protected. The fact is this: it was never there, bro. It was just an illusion.
Yeah,
it wasn't really there. It was my perception of what I thought community was, but it ain't really there. It wasn't there. Yeah. And what made it worse with the Iman challenge, you know what? Look, I can turn around and say they were naive. They were helping out a damsel in distress. Again, the white knight syndrome. one of their relatives, women came along, screaming and crying. He's beat me. He's taken my money. He's got all my stuff. Help me. No problem. These guys went and helped the sister. Their intention, I like to think in my heart that their intention was good, yeah? So I ring up the channel now, yeah? So
I'm not that charitable, to be honest, but never
No, but I just thought, you know what? Deep down, they thought they were doing a good thing. So I let it go, right? So I ring the channel, but this is where it gets worse. This is where now it gets personal, right? I ring up the channel, right? So I said, listen, can I speak to someone on Iman channel? I said, like, what it is, like, my house got robbed and this and that, blah, 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 by some brothers. And I seen some brothers on stage. He goes, tell me who you are and I might know who he is. I said, there's some guy called Joinal, this and that. He went, I'm Joinal. I said, bro, I thought, okay, you're Joinal, right? You're the guy that was there. I said, bro, why you robbed my house? And again, his demeanor changed. He went, bro, why are you ringing on private? I'll paraphrase how he spoke.
The thug came out of him.
I'm thinking, like, you know, mashallah, the guys. I'm thinking, you sitting there, Mufti Meng, he's a very presentable brother, a man of high caliber. Bro, if you're back, what do you say? He goes, this is exactly, he goes, bro, why are you ringing a private number? Why don't you give your number if you're such a big man, this and that? I said, bro, relax, man. I said, bro, why? I just wonder, why did you rob my house, this and that, yeah? And then he starts going, I didn't rob your house. You want to do something, come down to the police, innit? I said, bro, listen, bro, what did I say? I said, bro, you represent Islam. These were my words, and I'll paraphrase it. And he can come on there and he can dispute it. My words were on the phone to him. And this is 1 o'clock on a Friday before Jummah, right? Yeah. On the day I phoned him. He goes, I said, brother, like, why are you talking? Like, you represent Islam. His words were, I don't represent Islam. I just follow Islam. I said, bro, you're on TV. Like, you represent Islam.
You're an ambassador.
You're an ambassador. Like, you know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to say to him. No. He goes, I don't represent Islam, bro. I don't represent anything. I don't represent Islam. I only follow Islam. Anyway, you got a problem? Meet me in Barking Tesco 20 minutes, like that. And I thought, it's 1 o'clock. I'm about to go Jummah. You want to meet? Barking's where I think their headquarters are in London, yeah? So there's a Tesco up there. So I presume he's saying, meet me in Barking Tesco 20. Proper road, man. He just got ghetto. And I thought, it can't be like, you know, the shock and also, you know, the community.
The fake religiosity that I keep saying, right?
Yeah, but I didn't see it, bro. I was clearly a simp, bro. I was clearly a Jew, bro. I was a simp.
And let me be honest, okay, and I've been in the Dawah scene for like 5-6 years, and I've met many, many beautiful brothers, right? Crossed paths with many beautiful brothers. But at the same time, I've seen the sort of, the filth.
Charlatans,
you know, and I'm not saying this for the mere fact of just trying to, you know, dramatize it, but fake religiosity is true, hypocrisy is true, monetizing the deen is a reality.
Yes,
and at the same time, you know, just putting out positions of Islam to liberalize and to water it down. So this is the next point I'm going to get to now. So you had no support. Now, we were discussing off camera, and you made a good point about the programming and the conditioning of Muslim fathers being guilty until proven innocent, because, like you mentioned, the damsel in distress and the white knight incoming and whatnot. So when you look at the Muslim personalities that always talk about, you know, the woman's rights, and of course we always say that, and there's prophetic athar as well, or a hadith that mentions that indeed your wives have a right over you, and you have rights over your wives. And the Prophet also said, the best of you are best to their wives. And you'll hear these hadith, which we're
not disagreeing,
put above our head.
Absolutely.
You know, I'll not see what I know.
Yes.
But now the question to ask you, my dear brother, is that do you believe that when we find certain celebrity speakers enforce positions that conform to the secular, liberal, standardized sort of society or environment we live in, and trying to obviously give power to these sisters for whatever reason? It could be simping, it could be that the pressures of trying to fit into the Western society, and obviously the liberalism that we find now, which is a very aggressive liberalism. Do you feel that there's some issues with their approach?
Yeah, so look, so to my position on all of this, since I've obviously come into this, I just want to highlight again, I didn't see any of this. Like, prior to entering this and this being pointed out to me, this is done in such a subtle way. These what do you call it, sympathetic imams, simp imams, whatever you call them, right? The social media simp imams, whatnot. It is done in such a subtle, soft way that the layman like myself, you wouldn't see it.
Yeah.
Like I said, if I try and challenge some of these ideas with, you know, people close to me, I can see the resistance. So that, you know, you know how when people look up to a movie star, they idolize a movie star. It's that element of natural resistance where they're all defending without even realizing. and I'm highlighting to them like this. To me, like this is the sign of end times. You don't know the truth from false. I didn't see it. I used to see these brothers think, mashallah, beard, topi, they got the jabbar, they're very eloquent in their speech, collecting for charities. You just think this is Islam.
Don't bring that up, bro.
But this is what I'm saying, though. I fell for all of that. You just believe that no one would stoop that low. Yeah. But the Islam, number one, is a good platform to have these days, right? In the sense that it is a trendy, popular platform, or line of, say, and good niche. As far as social media is concerned, it's a good niche to go into, right? Yeah. And the question is, why are they talking about women's rights? If you look at Islam as a whole and all the issues and problems, everything that's going on, they're following the algorithm, or is it just a trend at the moment? And the key thing for me is it's following the algorithm and they're following the trend. Most of the sisters, Instagram, it is known that most of the sisters are on Instagram. They spend more time on it. They comment. They're more engaged. They're more involved. And on a subconscious level, when they hear these things that trigger them on that subconscious level, and they remember their mothers and how they used to work, all of this stuff, it just coincides naturally with their sort of personality, and bang, they've got that following. Now, like you said, maybe, like we said earlier off camera, maybe these guys, when they started these channels, maybe it was genuinely about the truth, right? Maybe it was genuinely about Islam and all of these factors. Maybe that's how they started.
Manifesting Islam.
Exactly. Maybe that's where it started. Maybe the intention was clear. Who knows? Yeah. But you cannot tell me when you suddenly have 100,000 views, 200,000 subscribers, millions. You cannot tell me these things do not affect you internally on some level. You're on YouTube. You know how it is when your video does well or not. And then sometimes on the subconscious level, you start tailoring it. Maybe you've convinced yourself that I'm spreading good. Maybe you think you're doing good, but the damage and the carnage that is left, bro, we're destroying the next generation. Because from the people I've spoken to, over 50% of Muslim marriages are ending up in divorce. If 50% of Muslim marriages are ending up in divorce, how many broken homes have we got? Yeah. Now, if you look, like I said, the success that the Muslim community has had here in Birmingham, look at what the Muslim community has built. Yeah. The mosque, the establishment, even the Islamic education, and academically. Careers, jobs, businesses, how well they've done. That was all built on the back of the family unit. Now, why do they say that other communities don't seem to do as well as, say, the Chinese and Asian community, right? Yeah, why? Family unit. Other communities, a white community, bro, the family could have destroyed them 40 years ago. That's why when they say, like, you know, white kids are the most least privileged, they're not progressing. Why? That family unit, if you ain't got the statistics, say the 70%, 80% of the prison population are from single parent homes. Okay. These ain't just, bro, this ain't just a coincidence. So what I'm saying is these imams and whatnot, mate, listen, forget the imams, these social media influencers, they are influencers and they're businessmen. That's a good
word to use.
They're businessmen and influencers. I just think come out and own it. There's nothing wrong with that. They're capitalists. In other words, they're capitalists. That's what they are. You are capitalists. That's what you are. They're destroying homes, right? Yeah, they're not doing it directly, but indirectly for their own gain, they're doing it.
Well, I've got information that, again, I don't want to mention it because obviously the brothers told me not to directly.
Yeah, well, yes, I think I even know about that. You're right.
You know about that.
Look, I am past that.
And we mean directly. We're not saying it loosely.
Yeah.
And touching on that particular topic regarding, you know, the women's rights, and of course, obviously, Islam, subhanAllah Azim, gave women its rights when the Prophet ﷺ came. At that particular time, the Meccans were burying their daughters alive, and you know, women were treated as, you know, or were being objectified and whatnot. Yes. But now I'd like to ask you to these social media influencers. Let's not call them celebrity imams or social media influencers.
Let's call them capitalists.
Who see pounds, dollars, yens.
They sell Islam. They're capitalists, and they sell Islam for money.
And it's an image, isn't it? And if they keep to that image, it boils down to, you know, appearances on big platforms, channels, traveling the world. Yes. It's a good grift, isn't it?
Revenue. Yeah,
so what about the haqq of the Muslim husband, right? All the athar and all the ahadith that mention the right of the husband. For example, when Mu'adh bin Jabal radhiyallahu anhu came from, I think it was Yemen, or I think it was Syria, I can't remember the actual narration, but forgive me, correct me in the comments. And then he prostrated to the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam obviously was shocked and said, what is this? And getting to the end of the hadith, he mentioned that if there was to be anyone that deserved to be prostrated to, it will be the wife to the husband. Why? What's the end of the hadith? Because of the enormous right he has on her.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Now, we're not saying now, okay, we're using this and the other hadith that if the man calls his wife, again, this is what the Islamophobes use. Obviously, you have to present it in the appropriate context and whatnot. But let's look at the ratio and the balance. When was the last time you heard these celebrity speakers mention the haqq of the man?
I'll go one step further. Forget just the celebrity speakers. In my whole lifetime, every khutbah I've been in, every bayan, any religious gathering I have been in, social media or otherwise that I've seen, I have not heard once where they've talked about this issue, once talked about not denying a father his rights. I've never heard anything about the father ever. So forget that. Look, forget the haqq, bro. The conversation's not even on the table.
Yeah, on the table. And why is
like,
that?
why are you even talking about it?
But why is that, though, brother?
Because that's a very good question. I think society, like I said, we're in the Western society, that has now amalgamated with the fact that the last 10 years, social media, this conditioning, women's rights, the algorithm, that trend, and okay, let me put it this way. Because I think when the first generation of, say, our parents, that stuff came over, they had to live a certain way. They had a different culture. The household was run differently. The women didn't work. They ran the household. Fathers went to work. They lived in
nuclear family.
Yeah, but they lived in the joint family unit because we couldn't afford the houses and stuff. So brothers and their wives, and we lived together, and it was a tough life.
It was.
And because in order to now undo that, people are looking at their daughters saying, we don't want them to live like that. And they don't live like that. Let's just clarify. It's not like that anymore. People don't live like that. No. Very rarely people live in a joint family. But because of that paranoia and that you understand, parents are looking at the other parents differently. So when you're looking at, say, from generationally, you're looking at the family, you're looking at people of your age in that family, parents are looking at the family. If they got a daughter, they're worried that, okay, they might put her to work and this. Look, they want the best for their daughters. But in order to undo this, we've gone so far the other way, and to undo our parents' culture of how they were in their relationships. Like my dad's my dad, how he is with my mum, my mum's my mum. But my point is we've gone so far to try and bring this balance, to undo that. We've just left the father behind.
So like one extreme to another.
We've gone from one extreme to another. Like I said, I've speak to brothers, right? Yeah. There's recently one case I'm dealing with now. Yeah. There's one brother. Yeah. His missus, I mean, I would say. And this goes across the board, from sisters that are like niqabi, practicing alima sisters, to say very liberal sisters, very liberal sisters. I ain't judging no one, that's their journey, whatnot. Very liberal sisters. But across the whole spectrum, every single sister, the only bit of Islam they know is the financial Islam, right? The only hadith they keep coming out with is your right to pay for everything, right? For some reason, they have latched onto only that bit of Islam that gains, it's a transactional. The thing is, it's very transactional, and they pick that one hadith about the financial element just to suit them. And what they're doing is now the marriage is treated as a business. Now, this one case particular, I'll give you an example of how it's done, and how the social media capitalists have contributed to it,
Simps, let's call them that.
Yeah, these simps, how they've contributed to it. What this brother like, so this brother works, right, day and night, whatnot, he pays all the bills, everything, as he does, because most guys just do it because they think that's their job. They have no issue with it. Yeah,
Islamically as well, they should.
Yeah, they do it. Now, he goes to me, I've got a little issue. I said, what's the issue? He goes, oh, well, my missus works. And I'm thinking, okay, she works. She's bringing into the family pot. Ain't that a good thing? He goes, no, I don't know where the money is. I don't see. It's nothing to do with me. She said, that's her money. And I'm thinking, fine. He goes, but the problem is, she's saying I pay 50 on top of all the bills, mortgage, food, everything. He's pushing near enough. He goes, 4.5, $5 grand a month his expense. That's what he's living. I'm saying, how? Like, how is it so expensive? He's saying about 1,500 quid to 2 grand a month. He has to pay for childcare so she can go to work, earn that money shipped out to her mum and dad's account, like building her own. So this is what I'm saying. Marriage is seen as a business. Marriage is being used to siphon money out your own family home and sent home to mum and dad or whoever, or in your own private bank account.
She's
stockpiling her money, living off his money. And in order for her to stockpile that money, you have to pay for babysitting, because Islamically you pay for everything. It's that angle constantly.
It's compromise. There has to be compromise. And
the fact is, but why would you treat your husband? My point is, it's okay.
It's greed. It could be greed.
We could talk about compromise and all this. What sort of human being treats their baby's father like that? Or imagine a guy treating his baby mother like that. It wouldn't happen.
The world would be in uproar.
Now, when a guy thinks of the family, he's thinking of the family unit. He's fighting for the family unit. It seems to be the sisters now, when they're thinking of the family, they're thinking of themselves first. He's lost.
Yeah.
He's just utility.
He's just a provider.
He's just utility, bro. Once a utility and an emotional punch bag. That's what we've been reduced to. Utility, an emotional punch bag, and a cash machine. And when the father-in-law likes it, they throw a few digs in as well. And a lot of guys, they don't know what to do.
And bringing this to a close as well.
This
is vitally important. And Allah you for coming up. And it's very difficult to talk about. So I can understand, it might have brought out a lot of, demons and what you've been through, because you did mention, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, but you've been struggling a lot, when your house was taken and your state of living.
Yes,
I think you
yes,
made that abundantly clear in on your social media profile
Yes,
as well,
yes.
that living at your van and stuff like that. So this is reality. This is real life. And to add, there's also situations where, like, when marriages are not being, there's not been a balance in how to deal with problematic issues, whether it's from the husband or the wife. So-called Sharia councils are issuing out fuss and khula like it's like, go walking into a candy store. And that's an issue as well, weaponizing the sisters where they got no valid Islamic Sharia grounds, which I'm going to tackle. I've been speaking to various brothers, as you know, the brothers that we obviously speak to as well, because there is valid gripes, and that we need to make sure that these brothers who are being oppressed, they have a voice. And this voice, wherever it comes, look, I don't have a huge following, and I don't really pander to the algorithm. If I lose followers, I lose views. At the end of the day, rizq is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but I will never monetize the religion, and I will speak the haqq as best as I can, as we all have weaknesses. But these Sharia councils, as well as obviously the simp imams, the capitalists, and you could throw any adjective or labels under the sun, but you are contributing to this mess. And let me assure you, your his money is my money. If marriages are broken, and the brothers who are feeling the heat and feeling the brunt of the oppression, this way is dhulm, you are a contributor and you have a share in it. And wallah al-azim, the dua of the oppressed never goes unanswered, and I'll tell you that for a fact. So in closing, brother Farouk, disqualified dads, follow my brother on TikTok, Insta, YouTube. So he's, at the end of the day, look, and I have to make it clear, the brother's in front of me, and I don't mince my words, there's two sides to every story. But after speaking to the Muslim Support Forum, or the Father Support Forum, there is a major issue that is not being addressed.
See the pattern.
And there's a consistent pattern, and it's only getting worse. Astaghfirullah al-azim. So make sure that your voice is heard. Ultimately, these popular speakers are not untouchable. Let's just put it out there. They're not untouchable. This podcast can potentially bring so much people together for the sake of bringing the fathers, solace and their children back to them. There might be brothers that are not willing to come forward, but this podcast might bring them forward.
Absolutely.
So if we can alleviate some sort of pressures, support, alleviate some pressures and oppression, I'm sure that this would obviously go a long way. And obviously, du'as, this is what we need. Support and mother and aun comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So any last words, my dear brother?
Yeah, I just want to say, look, if you're struggling with any of this, I'm live every Sunday, 8 p.m. on YouTube. We tackle family court questions. We go through the mental aspect, how to survive, all the little tricks and tips. We'll tell you live online on what to do and how to get out of it. Personality disorders, feeling like a victim, the emotional prison. I understand all of this. So look, reach out to me if you're struggling. We can help you. We can try and get you through this and just help you survive ultimately.
Inshallah ta'ala. And all support and what's the word I'm looking for? I'm losing my words now because the cricket's on. I'm trying to figure out who won, who lost. But look, the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will always be on your side. Make consistent dua. The dua of the oppressed never goes unanswered. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the all just, the all knowing, and the all hearer.
Ameen.
So take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum.